All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Stranglers and Anglers MMA podcast. I'm JJ. I'm here with my man James. Today we are going to be breaking down UFC 293, Israel Adesanya versus Sean Strickland. Um, Live from Australia this Saturday evening for us. It'll be Sunday morning in Australia. Um, Not the strongest pay-per-view card, y'all, if we're being honest. A solid main event, a solid co-main event, but aside from that, it's pretty ridiculous that they're charging people money for this one. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I'm pretty on board with that. When it comes to the pay-per-views, I feel like I think like back in the day, the UFC used to have like 6 a year and they were just all stacked. Um Now they pump out like 2 a month, like probably 18 to 20 a
Yeah.
year, I feel like. And maybe a little less, but it definitely there's a lot of months where they have multiple. And plus all the fight nights, it's just like you get a lot of fights that specifically on this card, you get a lot of fights where it's like, yeah, it could be a good fight, but what's gonna happen with these guys afterwards? Are they gonna go far? Probably not. That's a lot of what the prelims are.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, how many of these, like, could you, like, kind of legitimately look at and be like, is this a UFC level fighter? Or is this a UFC level fight? I think there's a lot of fighters and fights on this card that kind of you could kind of question that. But I guess, dude, we say that so much now in 2023, 20 about to be 2024 that maybe that's just the UFC is at a lower level now. So maybe they are UFC level. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We find ourselves saying that so much, but
I
anyway,
think
let's get
I think they have just an abundance of fighters. They got to get these people fights.
Yeah, well, they gotta meet their quotas for ESPN too, so they
Mhm.
gotta just the ESPN doesn't really care what fighters are on the card,
No,
they just need the fights to meet their quota. So
aka Disney.
this AKA Disney, yes.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Well, hey, let's get into these. We won't spend too long on this. Main event: Israel Adesanya defending his 185-pound championship against the challenger Sean Strickland. James, kick us off on this one, man. How do you see this one going? Do you think Izzy is a justified minus 700 favorite here?
Um, I honestly do. I don't know if it's. I agree fully with that, but I think that he's a very justified heavy favorite. Um, when you watch Sean Strickland and his fight style, it just seems tailor made for a guy like Israel Adesanya to like just piece up. A lot of people are saying Strickland's forward pressure as compared to like how Brunson pressured Izzy, Pereira when he pressured Izzy. Basically everyone who's pressured Izzy is like found themselves on the floor, like Paulo Costa. And I think Sean Strickland's not that type of a pressure fighter. Like, I think that he's pretty defensive minded. So I don't think that he's just gonna end up on the floor. But if he's not able to, a lot of people are like, he's gotta mix in the grappling. I'm like, bro, Izzy is so much faster than Sean Strickland, footwork wise and like just on the feet. Like Strickland is not a guy who's like a takedown artist by any means. And for him to be able to track down Izzy, like if that's his game plan is to like get a takedown, like for the people who are saying like he just needs to wrestle, man. He never wrestles. It's like, dude, that's gonna be so fucking hard for him to do. And the only so if I want to give my way that Sean Strickland could win, he is a good enough striker to land some shit on the feet, like a couple some jabs, something. Izzy doesn't like being hit. Izzy's rarely hit, and he doesn't like when he's hit. Just something to shake him up a little bit, and to like, if Strickland's a good enough striker to just land a little bit, it could open up the takedown. Um, Otherwise, like I could very well see this being like a gross masterclass for Izzy, like just beating Sean Strickland up for 3, 4 rounds before a TKO or something like that happens. I don't think it'll be like a one-punch knockout like it was with Pereira. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Strickland brings. I'm super excited to watch it. I mean, Sean Strickland, he's exciting guy to watch fight, and he's exciting on the mic. But I just feel like he's tailor made for an easy opponent.
I understand where you're coming from with that, and I see where a lot of people are saying, they see Izzy kind of styling on Strickland here. I kind of disagree, dude. I don't know, just like Sean
I'm
Strickland
happy
is,
to hear this, by the way.
yeah, dude. Sean Strickland's sitting at plus 500 right now. Um, it's just insane, dude. Like when you look at what Izzy closed against Vittori, he closed minus 275. I'm sorry, he closed minus 235. Um, against Costa, he closed minus 193. Against Blachowicz, he closed minus 286. Like in dude, I mean, in what world is he's about to close at minus 750-ish? You know what I mean? Like, in what world is a fight? I just don't see how Costa and Vittori are lined closer to Adesanya than Strickland is, because like he's a much different fighter than both those guys. And like I don't know, man. The forward pressure that you're talking about with how when that happens against Izzy, like he kind of slumps dudes. I think that Strickland is gonna play an interesting kind of game in those first couple rounds to where I think he's gonna be a little bit more cautious than we're used to
Hmm.
seeing him. And dude, but like rounds 3, 4, and 5, when has Adesanya ever faced someone who puts the volume on people like Strickland does?
Yeah,
He
never.
he ha- he hasn't, dude. And like Strickland, we talk the Pereira knockout was a bad look. One, it was just obvious, like we know that was a horrendous game plan by Strickland. We've talked about it. Like he came in trying to stand and bang with a guy that he didn't really, I think, consider to be UFC level at that point already. I think he learned his lesson there. But like that knockout aside, like Strickland is historically durable, dude. And I don't know, man. I just think that like maybe Izzy like wins those first couple of rounds cleanly, right? And maybe he is landing some like bigger shots, but I don't see how in rounds 3, 4, and 5, like how is Izzy gonna deal with Strickland's pressure? I don't know, man. I think Sean Strickland is going to put him on it late if he's still there. If Sean Strickland is still there after 2 rounds, I think he's going to win the fight. That is my honest
Wow.
prediction. I swear to God, dude. I just like people don't realize how good Sean Strickland is because how much of a weirdo he is, how unathletic he looks, and how awkward of a style he has, right? But like you can say he has the awkward style and keeps his hands down or whatever, and like he definitely flinches at like kicks and feints, like he bites really hard on things. At the same time, he's historically like really defensively sound, and he's a hard dude to land really clean on. Like Pereira is the only guy at 185 to have done it. Dos Santos back in the day, Oleski Dos Santos, he landed a huge wheel kick on him. It like,
Mhm.
would have knocked out anyone. It's just, I don't know, man. I think this line is disrespectful. And we talk about grappling. Like, I'm not expecting Strickland to grapple at all, really, in this fight. That's the honest truth. I could see him like maybe pushing Izzy against the cage for a little bit. I'm not expecting much in the way of takedowns and ground and pound. At the same time, I think Strickland's a better grappler than Izzy. So I think he does have a significant grappling edge if it does go to the ground. At least in terms of like maybe not doing a whole lot of damage, but I think that he could make it really hard for Izzy to get back up if he gets him down.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. I think the line is crazy. Plus 500 on Sean Strickland against anyone in the division is just a wild number to me. So I'm happy to take a shot on the money line there. And
Nice.
I'll probably play the late props too, because the thing with Strickland is like we know he's not really known as this knockout artist, dude. But you said it. Izzy doesn't like getting hit, dude. And when he
Mhm.
gets hit in the third and fourth round, like when he gets hit in round 4 more than he's been hit in his last 3 fights combined or whatever to the head, I think it's going to give him some problems. And that's what I see Strickland doing, dude. He's got a legit jab. He's durable. I don't know. I think it's going to be a closer fight than plus 500 because like for for Izzy to justify a minus 750, he has to sleep Strickland in the first round or two, or
Yeah,
win like some crazy 50-43 type decision, in my
yeah.
opinion. And I don't see it happening. So I'm willing to take the shot on the dog here.
Nice, dude. I love that. Yeah, I mean, all in all, it's gonna be a really exciting fight to watch. Both are so entertaining. If Strickland pulls it off, it would be it would be chaos in the UFC. So, and Izzy is getting up there. He's 34 now.
Yeah.
Age is like, I don't know. I'm not going to say it's a factor, but it's getting to the point where we're going to see it be that factor where it's going to be Anderson Silva esque if he keeps going. Like, so yeah, dude,
Let's not forget too, like Izzy was about to get fucked up in this last fight against
yeah,
Pereira too, and he landed a haymaker, that bomb, that those two rights, like, but Pereira was fucking him up pretty
he
bad.
was.
And I don't know, man. I don't have the same confidence as Izzy as I did at one point, and I just think that like a guy who's got nothing to lose like Strickland at this underdog price is everything I want in an underdog.
Yeah. And I love that Pereira said if there's anybody in the division that's gonna beat Izzy, it would be Strickland. He said that a few months back. That's a great. That's you
Would be
know,
so funny if it came true just because Pereira, it's just another owning of Israel somehow,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. But yeah, dude, I'm really excited. I'm gonna be up in Door County, but I believe there's Wi-Fi at the RV, so I'll definitely be able to
Nice.
watch the main card. We've already said off camera, talked about the prelims like not being great, right? So I don't really
Yep.
care about the prelims. I just want to watch the main card, and that's that. And I should be able to.
I'm with you, dude. I probably won't see any of this live. I'll have to wait till I get back from the city on Saturday night. But I'm
Okay,
with you.
okay,
I'm not feeling bad about missing any prelims.
right.
But I will be. This is one of the few I will be sad about missing live. Going on to the co-main event, Tai Tuivasa taking on Alexander Volkov in a heavyweight matchup here. Volkov is sitting at around minus 250, I believe, right now. Yeah, 245, 250 ish. Tai Tuivasa plus 200. James, real quick, I'll go on this one. I think Volkov's gonna fuck him up. I think Ty has had a really fluky run in the UFC. I can't believe some of the wins he's gotten. And Volkov, to his credit, like I think the only way he could lose this fight is if Ty catches him with something. And historically, that's been tough to do to Volkov. We know Derek Lewis got him late, but again, Volkov was fucking dominating that fight up until that point, and that's kind of how I see this fight going too. Just think that Ty's gonna have a really hard time landing clean on Volkov, and Volkov hasn't always looked the best lately, but he's legit, dude. He's huge. He's gonna have a huge like like reach on this dude, and also like similar to how Gon like targeted the body for Ty, I think that's gonna be Volkov's game here, just
Yeah.
throwing teeps and kicks to the body. Yeah, I took a little. I'm gonna parlay Volkov, I think. But I'm also gonna. I took a little stab on the fight goes to decision at plus 270 because yeah, Ty's a good finisher. Yeah, Volkov's dangerous, but like, historically he hasn't been a guy who's like been you can count on to put guys away. So I kind of in a 3-round fight, I kind of like Volkov to, win like a 30-27 kind of thing. Just like a
Mhm.
clean win here. How do you see it?
I think Ty gets him.
Oh.
I think no, I'm not 100% on that. I just I'm leaning with that, like, especially when you bring the odds into it, like the big underdog. I'm leaning with Tuivasa, just because, even though he lost against Cyril Gahn bad, and Volkov has arguably the most deadly teeps in the game. That's really what worries me in this fight is Volkov's ability to go to the body. And his teeps are like they seem to affect fighters like roundhouse kicks. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
these
totally.
dudes, he just drops guys with teep
Weird
kicks.
power to it.
Yeah, weird power in his teep kicks. Very weird. Um, but yeah. So that being said, I think Ty's a little quicker than him, even though like Volkov's got all that length. And if Ty could catch Cyril Gane with that big shot, which he did, and he almost knocked him out in that fight, I think that he's able to land 5 or 6 of those type shots, and I think one of them is the one that knocks him down, and then he can put him away
Mm.
against Volkov, just because of the speed, because the length and speed that Cyril Gane presents, I think, is more of a challenge for Ty to, you know, find that big overhand. With Volkov, I think he can off angle and catch him with a big shot, and I think his leg kicks are going to be there to close the distance. I just think Volkov's like, he's tall and he's so technical, but he is slow. And I think Ty is big and fat, which is deceiving, but he is fairly quick on his feet at heavyweight.
Hmm.
Um, even though I'm on the side, if this was a 50-50 fight, I would just like be like, I'm not even touching this. And that's kind of the reason why I'm going with Tuivasa, is because
Mm.
he leans as the underdog. So from a fan perspective, it's like, to me, it's 50-50. To like the way you were explaining it, you think Volkov's gonna jack him up. I could see that happening, but I'm just gonna like ride. I think there's ways Tuivasa can land, and I think he's a decent enough all around striker. You know, some of the stuff with him getting knocked out and just getting beaten up his last couple fights is very scary.
Yeah,
And
man. I was gonna bring that up too. I just
yeah,
wanted to point out that he hasn't fought now in like 9 months or so,
yeah,
but before that he took two devastating beat
devastating.
downs in like a 3 month span within a 3 month span of each other, which is just does not bode well historically for your chin holding up long term when you take that kind of damage in that quick of succession.
Right, and he relies on that chin too.
Yeah.
So, um, another fight where it's like with the Strickland is Adesanya fight. I think Adesanya should be. I think there's a chance Adesanya puts on a masterclass, but I think there's a good, there's a chance that Strickland is there. Come in those late rounds, like he's there and he's game, and I think it could be an incredible fight. Same with this fight. I think there's a
Mm.
chance that Volkov puts on a masterclass, but I think Tuivasa, I think is if his chin can hold up, and I think that he's skilled enough to catch Volkov with big shots. I think he's honestly a little more skilled than Derek Lewis, striking wise.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, and yeah, both exciting fights. Both could be really boring. Both could be really exciting. Both could be big upsets. Both could be like, oh yeah, okay, that's how I expected it to go. Both those fights, but yeah, yeah. So I'll lean with Tuivasa, also to be a
Yeah.
contrarian a little bit.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. The
Yeah.
last thing I'll add to it is I think Volkov, if the fight gets to the ground, Ty's in a lot of trouble too. I'll
Mm,
just say that. I think Volkov has really improved his wrestling over the years and his top game, and I think he could land some elbows and some vicious ground and pound if he gets the fight there. But yeah, I'm hearing you say that. I'm leaning away towards betting on Volkov as a parlay piece, honestly.
yeah,
Yeah, just because what you're saying there, it's giving me
yeah, yeah.
certainly making me pause. Cool, man. Moving on, we got is the Manel Cop fight. The next one on that you
Yeah,
got. Sorry, I think. Okay, cool. Manel Cop going against Felipe dos Santos. Short notice fight for dos Santos. Replacing Kai Kara France. Huge bummer. I really wanted to see that fight.
yeah.
I just want to see Manel Cop against fucking good competition, and like the dude has had horrendous luck with people pulling out, like Figueiredo, Kai Kara France. I think there's a few more too, like other big names. But yeah, man, it's interesting. Dos Santos is really fucking good. I think he's just
Yeah,
young. He's just
yeah,
young,
he's good.
and like Cop is really good too, but Cop is also a guy who I feel like you can't really trust at a big favorite price,
Mhm.
and that's exactly what's going on here. I just like am not confident in his volume and being short notice. I don't know, dude. It's just a fucky kind of fight. Dos Santos isn't like a small flyweight either. Yeah, I think Kape probably wins, you know what I mean? But I'm not interested in this fight from a betting perspective in any way.
Yeah, I'm with you on that as well. I think maybe putting like a tiny bit of money on like a cop finish, submission or KO. I think you could pick both. Might be like a good way to go. But this yeah, this dude is good. Like the kid he's going against is very good. Dos Santos is very good. Very quick, really good size for the division because Kop's a big guy and he looked a little bit bigger than Kop.
Yeah.
And yeah, you said it, man. Kop is like been in the UFC now. They signed him. He was a big prospect. Yeah, and he's had bad luck with the pullouts as far as from his opponents. Um, One thing I'll say about him that is what sort of scares me is that he is a methodical fighter, which are the fighters that I like because I just like that style. The guys who search for big bombs.
Mhm.
Um, but that can get you in trouble when it's round by round scoring. And depending on if this Dos Santos guy is a volume guy or not, like, or if he puts on the volume, he certainly seems quick enough to put on the volume, like in his film and all that. Um, I don't know how good his ground game is, like if Kop's gonna easily be able to take him down. Yeah, it is a stay away fight because of the favoritism with Kop, because obviously he's well established and he's a guy that I think the UFC sees as being possibly a future champion. But this Dos Santos
Yeah.
guy is very talented.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's no way they're matching up Kape in fights like Kai Kara France or Davison
Yeah,
Figueiredo if they don't see some type of future with him.
right.
Yeah, interesting. But hey, we'll move along to the next one since we don't got any bets or anything
Yeah,
there.
real quick, I want to say
Yeah,
Kop
sure.
did take over that press conference that or last night.
He stole the
Very
show. Yeah,
great move by him because now
yeah,
you're a huge favorite and ideally you do win this fight. And even though it's against an unranked guy who's like I think making his debut and like replacement fight, it's it's like, you know, winning on a pay-per-view card no matter who it's against and then stealing the show at the press conference is just a monster move. Like that's going to help
yeah.
you out so much.
I think it's gonna get him into a co-main event or main event kind of spot. Like I know it
Yeah.
sounds crazy saying that him in the main event right now, but I announced fucking Edison Barboza as a main event. And you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like a guy at Cops level can do it, you know? And yeah, it was a smart move, making some noise with the city kickboxing team.
Mhm.
Fuck those guys. I really don't like that camp, man. I really don't.
Yeah, no.
I like Volk. I think Volk's a good fighter. Don't like Cara France. Don't like Hooker. Don't like Adesanya. Um, Moving along, we'll keep it in the city kickboxing camp though. Justin Tafa taking on Austen Lane. Heavyweight rematch here. These guys were they fought back at Jacksonville a few months ago, and it ended in like 20 seconds from an eye poke. James, this fight is horrendous, and the fact that it's on a main card of a pay per view is exactly what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. Of like, it's crazy that they're charging people money for this card. Yeah, dude, I don't know. It's a pass for me. I'm gonna go with Tafa, but both these guys are not very good, honestly. And greasy heavyweights that aren't really UFC level. I just think that like I'm not gonna be surprised no matter what happens in this fight, you know?
Right, right. I was shocked at how gigantic Austin Lane is when they squared off because
Yeah.
Tafa is humongous and he made him look small. Yeah, I think Tafa wins this fight. I think he's rightfully the favorite. I think that Lane is like an athlete that converted to the sport and, you know, has been fighting heavyweights like, you know, in the before you get to the UFC, the heavyweights are it's slim pickings out there. And
Yeah.
if you're a former professional athlete or D1 athlete of any sport whatsoever, you're probably going to run through some dudes at heavyweight in the amateurs and in the low ranked pros. Tafa has like legitimate kickboxing skills. I'm just interested to see how Austin Lane looks against a guy who's a legitimate kickboxer because Lane is a guy that wants to strike and get a knockout. If he can win, that would be amazing. I do think I the reason that I love this sport so much is because I love how it just humbles to me, it just humbles that cocky kid who thought he was the shit in high school. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
this sport just humbles them all. Like, you can take the nerdiest dude in the world, train him, and then you take these superstar athletes like former pro, former D1, whatever, who thought they were the shit the whole life, and they go up against some skinny little nerdy guy and he wraps them up like a pretzel.
So
That's what I
true.
love about this sport. That's why it's my favorite thing to watch. Because Nate Diaz is a superstar. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that dude ain't playing D1 football anywhere.
No. Yeah.
So, like, and he'll beat the fuck out of most D1 football players who convert over. Even if they're good at fighting, he'll beat the fuck out of them. So it's like, in these scenarios, I love going for like a guy like Tafa just to like school a guy like Lane. It was like Greg Hardy when they brought Greg Hardy in,
Mhm.
all pro, former defensive end, 305 pounds, 295 pounds. Like, that was his playing weight his whole career. Comes in the UFC. The UFC gives him a fast push. What happens to him? He gets annihilated by absolutely everyone. Now he's getting annihilated in bare knuckle boxing. Now he's at Walmart. No joke. Like,
Yeah.
that's
No.
that's
Yeah.
literally what happened.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. I just like that, and maybe that's the devil inside me, but I love
Yeah.
that
No.
shit.
I know what you mean. I don't think to me though Lane doesn't come off as like a big dickhead. You know what I
No, he's
mean?
not. He's
Maybe
not.
he doesn't come off like douchey jockey like that. But yeah, no, your points are solid. And dude, the last thing I'll say is like a guy like Austen Lane, I'm not expecting him to grapple here. Technical difficulties there. Sorry, we're back. I was just saying that I think a guy like Austen Lane, who is insanely athletic and has that football kind of background, I think a guy like him is going to be looking to just knock dudes out or whatever. But I think a guy like him should be going for like that grappling edge against a guy like Tafa because Tafa is horrendous on the ground. Like if I mean horrendous to the point where Austen Lane, who is probably horrendous on the ground, it's just like if he gets on top of him, I think that's enough for the round. Probably, I really believe that. So it's not again another stay away fight. My pick is going to be Tafa, but just no confidence betting either side there.
Right, right.
Cool, man. Moving along, we've got a light heavyweight matchup here. Tyson Pedro taking on Anton, the Pleasure Man Turkalj. James, interesting fight here. Who are you taking in this one?
Well, I was high on Tyson Pedro until his last fight. Now that makes me question it. I'm gonna say this. I think I said this about Tyson Pedro's last fight, but if he cannot beat this dude, then this guy, like, he's got a lot to think about.
Yeah.
Because there's a giant gap in talent here, and Turkalj's only chance at winning is essentially surviving round one. He's a pretty decent striker. I'll give him that. Like, he's not a bad striker. Surviving round one and then maybe voluming Pedro in round 2 and 3 to go to a decision and winning that decision. That's the only way I see him winning. Yeah, so it's like the fact that to me, the fact that this is like a close line is insane. I feel like Pedro's so much more talented, just so much better all around. But you just can't trust him because he just has like performances that are just do not make sense. I know he doesn't have a great gas tank, but even considering
Yeah.
that, it's like
That's
it's
what sticks out to me here as far as where this line goes because Pedro should fuck him up in the first round, but like after that, dude, I think it could get really greasy because
yeah,
Turkalj have the grappling edge and the cardio edge. Um, he's like historically insanely durable. I mean, the dude takes like huge fucking shots. The problem is that like in light heavyweight, you can't just Max Holloway yourself throughout your career. Your chin doesn't hold up as long at the higher weight classes. So I mean, if Pedro starts bombing on him in that first round, I would not be surprised at all if that chin gets cracked early.
yeah,
So I'm leaning Tyson Pedro here. I might sprinkle a little bit on his money line because it's like even. With
yeah.
that being said, I'm gonna play Turkalj in like round 2 or 3, I think, as well. Just more likely round 3, just because I think the way the gas tank goes, he's more likely to get a finish than in 3 than 2. But yeah, I mean, I like Pedro here.
Yep.
Moving along here, it looks like that was the last one on the main card. Cool, man. We'll just talk real quick. We'll run through some plans. Ulberg versus Jung. I think Ulberg probably fucks him up, knocks him out, kind of thing. How do you see it?
Agree. It's kind of a
Yeah.
setup fight for Ulberg to win in front of the home fans.
Yeah.
Ulberg, super amazing, like incredible prospect. Very excited to see where he goes from here. But yeah, this is kind of a setup fight. Although Dawoon Jung is not potential sleeper. I don't necessarily see it happening, but not talented, right? Can
Yeah.
definitely can definitely, at least have a fight in there. And
Yeah.
Ulberg, did he lose his UFC debut or like his second fight or something like that?
I don't know if it was his debut or not, but he has one loss, I believe, in the UFC.
He has like one loss where it was like they expected him to win type deal. Who knows if this Dawoon Jung guy, if he stays in there and can make it to the later rounds, how Ulberg, I'm always interested when dominant guys, especially prospects, how they react to somebody actually fighting back against them. They don't just run through them.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing to look out for, but I don't think that's going to happen, honestly. I think Ulberg just gets the W, and like you said, probably a KO.
Yeah, maybe Jung lands something big or Goldberg gasses or something, but like Jung isn't like doesn't have much of a process to his fights. It feels like and against Ulberg, I just don't. I think you got to have a solid jab, 1-2 kind of thing. If you gonna want to make it super competitive. And Jung doesn't have that in my eyes. Cool, man. Moving along, we've got Jack Jenkins taking on Chepe Mariscal in a featherweight matchup. Good fight here, man. This is actually one of the good prelims, in my opinion. What do you think about this one?
Man, I'm not really sure who I'm going to pick. I think Jenkins has the edge because of his, those leg kicks. I think that he's a slightly better striker. Uh, can get the fight to the ground. I don't know. I think maybe he does get the fight to the ground in this fight against Mariscal, but yeah, I'm gonna go Jenkins because I like the leg kicks. I like the power in his hands as well. Like he doesn't just maybe not necessarily a knockout artist, but not like doesn't have zero power in his hands. And yeah, the ground game aspect of it, I feel like is close to I don't think it's close to I feel like Jenkins might have a slight edge there. So yeah, I'll go Jenkins on this fight.
Yeah, fair. I view Jenkins as well. I'm taking him here, but I actually think Mariscal probably has the better like skill wise ground game. I don't know. I think Jenkins is going to be a lot bigger than him here, and I'm worried about Mariscal being able to get the fight to the ground because standing up, I think that Jenkins is going to have him covered standing up. The thing that worries me is like Jenkins is a very technical kind of guy. Mariscal is just a fucking fighter, dude. You know what I mean? He's tough as shit, and he's going to keep coming. And like Jenkins, while I think he's really skilled and like has some decent potential. He's definitely has underwhelmed in the UFC and arguably lost his last fight, against Jamal Emmers. So like, yeah, I don't know. It like a big favorite number. I tend to just stay away from this one just because I don't trust Chepe on the other side for the underdog. But like, I don't know, man. In a greasy fight, like who knows what kind of dog Jack Jenkins really has in him, So yeah, I'm excited to see how that one plays out though, because it's weird, dude. Like when I watch Jenkins, I think he's really skilled, all around. But there's just something about him where he's one of those guys. I'm trying to think of someone we can compare him to, but just has all those skills. It's just something mentally he hasn't quite put it all together yet.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the spot for him to do it. Moving along, Jamie Mullarkey taking on John Makdessi in a lightweight matchup. I think Mullarkey should win here. Makdessi getting old as shit too, but Mullarkey coming off a bad KO not too long ago. huge pass for me. What do you think?
Same. I think Mullarkey's, and God, I can't remember who Mullarkey lost to. It was he was supposed to win. It was against a dude who we're gonna like. Hold on, I gotta look it up.
Like his last fight.
Yeah,
It was like that Muhammad Naimov.
yeah. That guy threw hands.
And it was short notice, to be fair. Yeah.
It was short notice, and it was like for Mullarkey, and Mullarkey like got knocked out, and it was almost sad hearing him say something to the referee, like, no, like he realized he like lost that fight, and he's a guy who's like trying to tap on the top 15 door, and that was sort of supposed to be his fight, and then he gets a short
Yeah.
notice opponent and gets knocked out. It just, but I think this fight's also set up for him to win. I think that Makdessi is just too old at this point, and the quickness that he had back in the day that maybe could have helped him out a lot in this fight, it's not there anymore.
No, yeah, I'm with you. This feels like a big setup.
Yep.
But to his credit in his prime, little younger, this would have been a much more competitive or interesting fight.
Yep.
Cool, man. I don't really have much to say on the rest of these. I think that in the Nasrat fight, I don't know how you could back Nasrat as like a -450 favorite or whatever. That guy is horrendous. And like, talk about underwhelming. Like, he has been one of the most underwhelming guys, I think, in the UFC, especially with how hard like the commentary team like rides his dick every fight as if he's
yeah.
a giant superstar. It's like, dude, just because he has an interesting name doesn't mean this guy is going to be like some big talent. Yeah, I don't see it with Nasrat. So good. That fight's to stay away from me. The Kiefer Crosby fight, like I was talking, like against like that's just not a UFC fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those both guys, like, it might be a decent fight again, like you were saying, like it might be a good banger fight, but just neither of those guys really belong in the UFC.
Yeah, Kiefer Crosby, he's making his debut, huh?
Yeah, Connor, longtime Connor teammate.
Yeah, right. I remember hearing about him when Connor like beat Chad Mendes, so it's taken him a while, but he got there. And
yeah, it's because he's not very good. He was just a juice head who had a really good physique. It was up on nobodies. But yeah, I mean, he's the underdog here, which I think is kind of surprising. So maybe that's something worth looking at. But I just like that. Yeah, I can't really trust either one of those guys.
You know what though? I'll say on the last fight, the Nasrat fight,
yeah,
that Landon Quiñones guy, I believe he was on the Ultimate Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dude, he's a rough one, and it's almost worth backing Nasrat like to the fullest, or like using him as a parlay piece. Because at least he's been in there with the best, and the reason the announcers talk about him so much is maybe because he shows what he has in the gym or something. But that Quiñones guy,
it's probably, for whatever reason, like the UFC has been big on him, right? Because like, look at the guys that they have matched him up with, right? Like Mark Jacassi, decently big name. Then gave him two very winnable fights. Then matched him up with Drew Dober, pretty big name. Fight over Alex Munoz. Matched him up with Arman Sarukian. That fight got canceled. Matched him up with Dan Hooker. That fight took place. He got his ass kicked. Matched him up with Bobby Cream. That fight took place. Got his ass kicked. Yeah. I don't know. They put him against names that are like decent names. Like he has canceled bout against Jamie Mullarkey too. It's just one of those guys that they like for whatever reason, and I think it's because, like, what country is he from? He fights, yeah, he's fighting out of Germany, and he reps Afghanistan, I think, and I think
Morocco.
Morocco, nice, yeah, I think that's kind of they just want some type of in that market. But yeah, I am not a Nasrat guy. Bottom line, yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, dude, I guess that would be the only fight just because I have less faith in Quiñones, but I'm not a Nasrat guy as well. So before I fucking put my name on the line for this guy, I'm just gonna say I agree with basically everything you're saying. But yeah, I'm less of a Landon Quiñones guy because watching him on the Ultimate Fighter, he just seems like a I don't know, like he's still figuring it out. I don't know. He just
Yeah,
seems like a guy who's like I don't know how to explain it. Like I'm gonna be champion, but then he's like not an alpha in any way, shape, or form. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, kind of like the fake confidence almost.
Yes, like
Yeah,
almost like it's almost like he's too. It reminds me honestly of like some of the women's fighters, like when you hear like Holly Holm talk and like the way the women's fighters talk, like
it's hard to tell if they're delusional and
yes,
like
yes,
if what they're saying, or if they're just trying to stay relevant or
or if they read emotional motivational book. That's what it
yeah,
reminds me of. That's
big
what he
big time.
reminds me of. He reminds me of a guy who read a motivational book and he's like, as long as I follow these rules, like I'm gonna make it. But God bless, he's fighting Nasrat and watch him get a KO and just catapult into the
Yeah,
fucking.
well, fuck. Who's that motivational speaker? Tony Robbins is that guy's
Oh
name?
yeah,
Well, Quiñones, if he wins from now on, he's Tony Robbins.
yes, I'm with
That's
you on
that's
that.
that's all it is.
Yep.
We'll be fans for life. Uh, cool, man. Yeah, that's all I got for this card, dude.
Yeah, real quick, I gotta ask you, Bears
Yeah,
Packers prediction.
Bears by 3,000. Um, on a serious note, what's the line at right now? Is it -1 Bears?
Yeah, I think the Bears.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm very surprised by that because I think Green Bay offense is really going to struggle. At the same time, they beat the shit out of us on the ground last year real bad, and we don't on paper our team got a lot better. The run defense should be better. We got to see it out in action though. So I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Bears, but if something fucky, if this is like some greasy, low scoring week 1 game where like neither offense can really get it going and both defenses are kind of stepping up, it wouldn't surprise me.
yeah.
What do
I
you?
I I'm I'm like I honestly think the run defense is going to be improved. I'm just more afraid of what the Bears offense, like what Fields is going to look like and more afraid of Jordan Love. Like I not that I think he's going to be good. I really don't think he's going to be good. I really don't. But it's just eating shit for 20 years as a Bears fan just makes you worried like you're about to watch another fucking Hall of Fame quarterback or a
Well,
Pro Bowl level quarterback.
it would be the most Packers thing in the world if Jordan Love just went from this horrendous quarterback to their next Favre or Rodgers type. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? The most
because
Packers in the world.
I'll be honest, like I haven't watched much of him, but I've tried to watch him because like I am so scared as a Bears fan, and I am just and unbiased as I can say, like I am not like impressed by any means.
No, I could. I mean, yeah, I think he's horrendous.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be out of the league in a year or two.
that's what I think.
And I'm not just saying that as like a Packers hater. It's
Right.
just when you see what the Packers have had in the past, and then you see Jordan Love, it's like
Yeah.
he's like a fucking Kyle Orton, Rex Grossman type. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? As far as like his ability to throw the ball to me.
But that doesn't mean he can't beat the Bears on week 1, which
Exactly.
is what the fucking Packers do.
Exactly. And it doesn't mean that they can't have a dominant run game and
Yeah.
defense needs
Yeah.
them. But that's what the fucking Bears did for our entire life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Know that game all too well.
Yep.
But yeah, man, can't wait for fucking
Yeah.
football season. And excited for these fights, man. Go Sean Strickland.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I'll well, you're
Yeah.
not gonna watch them live. I'll text you on Sunday or something.
Yeah, man, we'll touch base. And everyone, thanks for listening, y'all. We'll be back
right.
next